Hello, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Stephanie Marsh. I'm the Director of Communications for the City of Akron. I'm happy to welcome you here today. We are going to be providing an update to the fire and evacuation which occurred yesterday on Rosemary Boulevard. You're going to hear from a number of members of our administration today. We will have time for Q&A at the end. Just some instructions as we are going to go into that Q&A. I'm going to start on my left. We're going to make our way to our right. I'm going to ask that everybody keep questions to one at a time. You will have an opportunity to ask several questions. We'll go through several rounds of Q&A. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Akron Mayor Shamus Malik.
Good morning, everyone. Before we get into the update, I just want to take a moment and thank a number of folks whose efforts yesterday really helped make all the difference in our response. Our city staff did an absolutely incredible job in responding to this fire, in particular Akron Fire and Akron Police. They showed incredible bravery and professionalism in the face of a large and fluid situation. Their efforts were nothing short of heroic. I also want to thank our service department teams, our recreation and park staff who helped shelter folks at our community centers, our communication folks, and beyond. The way everyone across this organization jumped into action to help serve others was a tribute to the best of what city government can be. We certainly couldn't have gotten through this alone, though. We had a number of partners across the community who were able to assist. I want to thank the Red Cross. I want to thank the Summit County Health Department, our Summit County Hazmat team, our hospital systems, including SUMA, Akron General, and Akron Children's Hospital, Summit County Emergency Management, the Summit County Sheriff's Office, the Akron Metro RTA, who helped transport folks from the evacuation zone to our community centers, the Ohio EPA, our council members, including Councilman Johnny Hanna, whose ward the fire occurred in, and also Councilman Kamer, whose ward included the Firestone Park Community Center, which was one of the evacuation zones. Lastly, I want to thank the community at large. I want to thank the folks who helped share information and the folks who just stepped up to help out their neighbors in a time of crisis. Chief Harding just said it as we walked over here. It is in the worst moments that you see the best of humanity, and I truly believe that. I'll turn it over to Akron Fire Chief Leon Henderson for an update.
Thank you, Mayor Malik, and thank you for your leadership during this time as well. And I'd be remiss if I want to thank the personnel, as far as the women and men of the Akron Fire Department, for the heroism and the job they did yesterday and the elements that we faced with the heat exhaustion. So I want to thank, I am privileged to be in charge of the greatest workforce Akron Fire Department has to offer and the best fire department in the country. With that being said, I would like to also thank my particularly grateful to Chief Hardy and his staff, for his women and men, for all their efforts of the department to assist us in the evacuation efforts and maintaining the traffic. And we simply couldn't have done this without them. Thank you very much for that. I also want to thank the Summit County Hazmat team. The Hazmat team deployed last night about 2,000 hours. We had approximately 20 individuals that was part of the Summit County Hazmat team, and that make up 8 departments throughout the county. So thank them for their hard work and their leadership as well. As an update, first, we would like to share previous names of the company that was involved in the actual incident yesterday. The company name is SMB Products. That is the name of the company, SMB Products. The fire is still ongoing and crews remain on scene as we speak. Due to the lack of structural integrity of the site, we've had to bring some of the construction equipment to help tear down the additional walls so our teams can effectively reach the areas that are still burning and put those fires out safely and effectively. The one firefighter that was hospitalized last night is still in the hospital. He's making a recovery at this time. So I've been checking on him every couple of hours. Also, we don't have an exact number of individuals who were transported to the hospital last night to receive care for injuries or respiratory issues. We still are investigating those counts. At this time, we believe the following chemicals were in the building at the time of the fire. That's methanol, xylene, propane, ether, and ethanol. We can't confirm whether those chemicals were the ignition source during the fire. We're still investigating and testing those materials. The Ohio EPA was on hand last night and is still here today, helping and assisting with the air quality. And they are checking for poisonous air and testing and everything is within normal toxicity as far as the air is concerned. And they gave the all clear to the residents last night to go back to the residents at 8 p.m. The air quality testing will remain ongoing. If there are any changes, we will provide an immediate update. I want to be clear that anytime there is smoke in the air, it impacts air quality. Some smoke products is a carcinogen and should not be actively inhaled. Anyone with pre-existing conditions such as asthma, COPD, need to be especially careful about inhaling smoke. It is definitely still smoky today, and I'd encourage folks to limit your exposure to the smoke as much as possible, especially those with underlying conditions. Wearing a mask can assist in filtering the air, and we encourage you to wear one if you're outside in the immediate area. If you're experiencing difficulty breathing or feel as though you are having difficulty breathing, please call 911 for assistance. We don't have anything to share yet of the cause of the fire. Our investigative team is getting boots on the ground once the smoldering's over, once the fire is out. We will have our teams that started doing the interviews yesterday, starting getting a list of all the chemicals that were compiled in the premise, and we'll have more to say on that in the future. Thank you very much, and I will turn it over to Chief Harding right now for his update.
Thank you, Chief Henderson. As Lieutenant Murphy discussed yesterday, Akron Police assisted with the evacuation efforts and traffic control around that immediate evacuation zone. I want to say how thankful I am for the collaboration and the work of our officers. They did an amazing job. I also want to thank everyone with Akron Fire and everybody for all your efforts. Today, traffic is open as normal, with one limited exception. We are only keeping traffic limited on Rosemary Boulevard in a roughly 1 block area to assist the Akron Fire's ongoing response to the fire. We appreciate all the community's patience and your cooperation yesterday during the evacuation. The cooperation we received made the evacuation process run significantly more smoothly, and it made our jobs much easier. I'd also like to welcome up Deputy Service Director Euphransia Lash for an update on community centers.
Thank you, Chief Harding, Mayor Malik. Good afternoon, everyone. Last night, the city activated 2 of our community centers as reunification centers for those who were displaced due to the evacuation zone. We had just over about 100 residents at the Firestone Park Community Center and about 78 at Joy Park. We didn't end up needing to activate Mason Park as we originally intended, so we didn't have to move in that direction. I want to thank my staff at both centers, both Firestone Park and Joy Park, for quickly jumping into action and pivoting to meet the needs of the community. I want you to know that your director is very proud of you this morning. We brought in pallets of water and snacks to provide those who were displaced and made the center as comfortable as possible for all those who were in attendance. We also had the Red Cross on hand to assist in their efforts, and they were very much so appreciated. As Chief Henderson mentioned earlier, we got the all clear call at 8 p.m. and brought in buses to help transport residents back to their homes. Shortly before 9 p.m., both centers were called as clear and confirmed. It was a shift and efficient response from all the employees at the centers and our public safety forces. I want to thank everyone that was involved. Now I'll turn it over to our assistant to the mayor for emergency management, Joe Natko.
Thank you, Frenzy. Mayor Malik. I believe that yesterday's incident highlighted the importance of planning and collaboration when it comes to critical situations. Akron Police and Akron Fire worked as partners in their response. They set up something that is called a unified command post. This unified command post was initially in very close proximity to the building, and then when necessary they moved it further out, several hundred feet further out. This allowed our teams to work together with face-to-face communication, and they were noted immediately when there was a situation that was quickly evolving. The relationships we've built with all of our partners that have been mentioned here, the mayor listed them out a little earlier, are truly what makes these situations work like this. We practice and prepare for these incidents, hoping that they'll never come, but if and when they do come, we're ready for them because of that preparation and expertise of the individuals involved. I was very pleased with what I saw yesterday. Our response was just outstanding, and would like to mirror the thanks that everyone else has expressed.
All right, thank you to all our speakers for that update. We are going to open it up to questions now. Again, I'm going to start on my left. I'll give everybody an opportunity to ask one question. If you could please speak up so that folks on our live stream would be able to hear you. So I'll start over here. Yeah.
Yeah, as those firefighting efforts continue, is there any risk towards future explosions? How is that working in terms of what's left?
Chief, if you want to.
That is an excellent question, and it depends on what's underneath that rubble that we're kind of using the excavator. So if it gets hot enough in that particular area, yes, there will be a similar explosions.
Next question. Anybody on this side of the room have a question? Yes.
I do. I know cleanup is still underway. You're still investigating what's going on, but will this ever eventually be handed over to the EPA, or will this remain local when it comes to cleanup efforts?
To cleanup efforts, Henderson? Chief Henderson?
I don't think at this point we can speak to that. I think, you know, as we go forward, we're working very closely with Ohio EPA. They've been on scene. They're continuing to partner with us in the air quality testing and some of the other work. As for, you know, the future of the site and, you know, the, you know, potential demolition or those kinds of things, I think it's too early for those.
Yes, go ahead.
Yesterday, the fire department mentioned that there was an explosion at 3 p.m. and that's when the evacuation started. Were there any other explosions yesterday?
Chief Henderson?
So, yes, the answer to your question is yes. Throughout the day, from the aerosols themselves, there were those explosions. So the perfect storm happened yesterday with the actual roof falling into the structure. That suppressed a lot of the explosions that we anticipated. So that was a good thing.
Anybody else on this side of the room before I move over? Okay, to my right.
We had heard this earlier, but how much did good weather actually help in yesterday's situation in keeping air quality at a decent level?
So that's another excellent question. It assisted a lot. And with us having visibility and being able to get the resources to where they needed to be, the weather really helped in that aspect of it. But I don't know if you saw the local news today with the radar. They spotted those vapor fumes all the way into Cleveland. So.
With chemical fires, I know sometimes they could be different from house fires. It takes longer. How did you guys approach this different versus a regular house fire?
Excellent question. So we knew this came in as a hazardous material fire. So we actually had additional resources responding to this call for service prior to like a regular house fire. And with that being the case also, we actually hired last night because we knew this was going to be an extended operation, and we're approaching a 24-hour operational period at this time. We hired overtime personnel also last night.
Anybody on this side of the room?
I know that we're saying right now that the air quality is okay and everyone was able to come back to their homes, no longer have to evacuate that half-mile radius. But what would you say to anybody who lives right there, that's their home, that's where their family lives, and they still have these concerns? Because as you're saying, this is a fluid situation, could change at any moment. What would you say to those families who have those concerns?
I think, as we said, we acknowledge that it is smoky today, and that folks who have underlying respiratory issues should be especially cautious about the smoke, that folks should try to limit their exposure to the immediate area, around where the rubble is still there. And that if folks feel like they are, being exposed to significant amounts of smoke, or if they have difficulty breathing, that they call 911. But we, the general air quality testing has been very positive, and that's where the all clear came from. But certainly, we want just folks to be vigilant, and we're continually assessing. So if conditions do change, we will certainly alert people at that time.
Has there been violations, to the best of your knowledge, at this facility? Whether it's fire code issues or building?
So we started doing our research and analyzing what that looks like. So we can't disseminate that information at this time, but when there is a time to disseminate, we'll let you know.
Anybody else on this side of the room before I go back? Anybody over back on the left? Mike?
The back of the facility on the Kelly Road side is a large storage lot, lots of plastic chemical containers. Were those empty? Were there was a concern if they had liquid in them?
Excellent question. Yes, they would have been concerned depending on what the chemical was. So when we arrived on scene, we actually had a resource ladder pipe set up on Kelly Road to make sure the fire did not spread to those areas. So if you can notice on the radar, if you look at like the drone footage, everything was stopped at that point of that, the brush in the back of the building.
Those storage containers, did they have chemicals in them or were they empty?
Yes, they had chemicals in them.
So the KOKI laboratories, they weren't the ones affected, it was SMB products?
It appears that Koki Laboratories was the name of previous business that operated at that site. The current business operating at that site is the SMB name that we gave to
Products.
SMB Products that we gave today. And so, it wasn't a different location, it was the same location.
Oh,
Yes.
Can you share more on the status of the firefighter and how he was injured in the first place?
Yes, so the conditions yesterday it was very humid yesterday, and the operational period started around 1:15. So when you think about it, when you exercise, after 60 minutes, you're pretty much spent. Just imagine having 70 pounds on your body and wet and tired with the humidity. So you take a beating out there. So we had crews out there from that extended time in that operational period. At that time, it had been 6 hours. So.
So it was heat exhaustion or something like that?
I think we want to respect his privacy.
Yes.
It's a medical issue, so we're going to go further into that. Yes.
Can you talk a bit about more what the EPA looks for and how they measure and determine if the air quality is safe?
Yeah, do you want to take over from that?
So, Ohio EPA, and I'm reading from what they sent us, right? Ohio EPA is supporting incident command by monitoring locations throughout the neighborhood surrounding the incident. Additional monitoring will continue as long as the fire is burning to ensure the smoke is no different than any other structure fire. So far, no volatile organic compounds, VOCs, are detected at or above levels of concern in the ambient air. So the testing will be ongoing. They've been on site since yesterday afternoon, and it was their testing that we were waiting for to get the all clear yesterday evening at 8.
I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
curious for the fire chief. Obviously, a hazmat situation is, especially that situation, is not something you see every single day. So what resources, what information were you guys using with your firefighters on hand to, I know they go through training, but how important was it to have some of the information? I know Summit County came in to help as well. I just didn't know how much of a help some outside resources were for you guys.
So that's a great question. So we always work with our partners, and we always look for collaboration where we can find it. So when you look at Summit County Public Health, they're state of the art. They brought one of the sheets over with the chemicals, and also we use a Cameo software that analyzes the mixture of the chemicals with a chain reaction, what would be the detriment to that as well. So we had a lot of resources to bear. So.
Do we know if any of the employees were injured that were working at the plant?
So when I talked to the building manager yesterday, all 45 of the employees were safe and all of them got out safely.
Do you know what they produce there?
So they produced several different things. Some was like healthcare products along with some type of spray chemicals as well.
Anyone else with a question? Yes?
One last one. you
Okay.
have any estimate on how long this fire is gonna continue? Or is it just kinda monitoring at this point?
We're at a state of influx, so it depends, depending how much rubble we move out the way. When it sparks up, you know, we're there to basically extinguish it. So it could be another, anywhere between 8 hours to another 12 hours.
Anyone else? Yes.
How many firefighters remain on site?
At this time, we have a total of 3 companies, so that's approximately 12 personnel.
Anyone else with a question? Okay, at this time, that concludes our press conference. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.